Iniziamo le riprese, se potete fare silenzio.
I have been working in the world of music for something like 55 years. And I would choose music as my life's work, not just something for entertainment. Music for me is part of spirituality. Music for me is part of science. Music for me is part of trying to understand myself, and I've had the good fortune to travel and to meet many people. And so the world of music for me has been kind of like a doorway that has opened up. For me, as a person who grew up in the World War II time space, in fact, I was born June 4, 1945. And so starting around 1950, I began to move out into the world and have experiences. For me, one of the challenges in making the decision to embrace music as a life's work were my role models. And who were my role models? Well, Dave Brubeck Quartet, Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers, Duke Ellington, Charlie Parker, Lenny Tristano and the school of Lenny Tristano, especially the great work of Warren Marsh and Saul Mosca. From that point, I think about Bach, I think about Beethoven. I was a real student of 𝐋𝐢𝐳𝐵 Stockhausen. His music was very important to me. Also, the music of John Cage was very important to me. I mention that because when I think of the work that I've tried to do, I've tried to not have simply an involvement with playing the saxophone and having fun and loving the moment, but rather I've tried to learn from the strategic musicians and strategic composers, as well as instrumentalists, music instrumentalists. And I've tried to forge together a music that respected Africa, that respected Europe. I see my work as a universal music, or a universal thought construct. I use the phrase tricentric modeling. Tricentric modeling is a way to create an area space in the house of the circle, immutable logics. Tricentric logics in the world of the rectangle as a means to begin to look at structure and to evolve structural premises. Tricentric music as triangle. Triangle in this context, ritual and ceremonial musics. Triangle as a way to look at narrative structures and storytelling. Tricentric as a way of looking and seeking to understand dreams. My work, in my opinion, is connected to the ancient model before the 1800s and the Frankfurt School. The ancient model was a model that basically says every ethnic group, every region of the planet has contributed to bringing us to where we are in the modern era. And when I talk of the ancient model, again, I'm including Western civilization. I include the great Egyptian civilization and the great work of China, the great Persian people, the great Iraqi people and Arabic people who have all contributed in ways that we don't always talk of. But part of my journey has been this, the study related to the music, not just scientific studies, but history, historical study. And so with the coming of the 1800s and the Frankfurt School that would start to talk of the greatness of the Aryan masters, I would also bow to this group, but I would put them with the ancient model rather than having Europe over here and everyone else is over here. My viewpoint is all of it comes together and we learn from everything that we experience. And so the tricentric thought unit construct was a way to build what I now call a ground floor model that contains 12 different components, 12 different structural frameworks, 12 different sonic geometrics that would give my system characteristics that, in my opinion, have a unique quality in some ways. But what am I saying? I'm saying this. When I talk of the tricentric thought unit construct, I'm talking of a construct that can be looked at in the way we look at an erector set. You remember as young kids, we had a model where you could build cars and then you can break it down. You can go back and build a house. You can build different kind of structural things. My music system is a system that has that feature. That is to say, one, in my system of music, there is what can be called origin identity. Origin identity in this context is, I'm going to write a string quartet. Or then the string quartet score will be based on the fact that a decision was made to use a string quartet or to write an orchestra piece. That would be called origin identity in my system. Number two, there is a secondary logic to the work that I've tried to build. And what do I mean by secondary logic? By secondary logic, I'm saying the piece for string quartet can be also played by the orchestra. The piece for the big band music can be played by 100 tubas. Any instrumentation can extract from any of the compositions in any way that is possible. This, for me, is what I mean when I use the phrase secondary logic. And finally, the third aspect of the tricentric thought unit construct would be genetic identity. Genetic identity is a process that says one can take 2, 3 measures or 1 measure of an orchestra piece of mine and put it in another piece. And you can build the compositions in any way you want. Just as the great chefs will come together and they make different kinds of formations and they, we'll try it this way. We don't want to have everything the same way every time. I have tried to take that idea and have it as part of the system possibilities for the model that I have built. And so you have origin identity, which is traditional in the sense of it being defined to use string quartet or whatever. You have secondary identity, where it's possible to use any instrumentation with any composition. And then genetic identity, where you could take little parts from the erector set and put it together and create a unique combination of structures, so that the creative musician would have opportunities to keep everything fresh. In my system, I think in terms of one, navigation through form. Navigation through form as a way of saying, here we are on a planet that has positive forces, negative forces, equal forces, very nice people, very bad people. We have people with different traditions. We have architects that build different kinds of structure. Navigation through form is a way of talking of the adventures of the friendly experiencer. The friendly experiencer in my system has the opportunity to move through different formal states. And also, as a composer, it would give me the opportunity to dream and to try to build formal states that would allow for different kinds of navigation. I see my work as an attempt to build a model that is similar to what we have in actual reality, in the sense of different ways of exploring different things, different systems that equal to different areas in the model. And so the first ground floor of the tricentric model is a model of 12 different states, continuous states, number one. Number two, polarity states. Number three, ornamentation. Number four, sequential modeling. Number five, intervallic models. Number six, sound mass evolution. Number seven, short sounds, small sounds, boom, boom, boom kind of sounds. Number eight, gradient scalular sounds. Number nine, it goes all the way up to 12. And so 12 sonic attempts to look at sound as physics, sound as visual matter, sound as related to philosophy, sound as part of human health and natural health. This was a way of looking at music that is similar to what the ancient model was. The Egyptian model talked of man, know thyself. That is to say, self-realization. Find self-realization and create from different kinds of matter, from sonic sources, image sources, vibrational sources, from magic, from the hope of finding new terrains. And so that's the ground floor. From the ground floor, I'm now working on the next cycle on top of the ground floor. And the first model from this new area of the ground floor being completed, the new era is the Lorraine musics. What are and what am I talking about when I talk of the Lorraine music? The Lorraine music is part of a new system of poetics, separate from the ground floor, in the same way that clouds are separate from the earth. The Lorraine music was conceived as breath and wind. Hurricanes can be extracted for the Lorraine music. That is to say, the logic of hurricanes can be transformed into the Lorraine music system world. The act of breathing, everything that's alive as far as from the spirit and the way that we talk of humanity, there is a process of breathing. And so wind and breathing are in the house of Lorraine. And Lorraine is the first of the new systems that will fly over the 12 systems that I have talked about in the same way that the clouds move over the system. In the future, there will be a lower world separate from the air musics or air creativity or the ground floor. Imagine extracting experiences, say, from caves where the friendly explorer goes down into the earth and find different spaces on earth, or the idea of tunnels, going through the tunnels into the underworld. And so I'm looking for underworld, I'm looking for a ground floor, and I'm looking for an ethereal world that goes forward. And so Lorraine music is the beginning of logics that include breath and wind, moving in a static space over that static space in the same way as the clouds move, in the same way that a volcano blows up and the smoke goes all over this space and creates a different kind of mist. In the same way that you get on the airplane, going through the fog would be part of the Lorraine process, although it would be another degree from Lorraine, Lorraine being wind and breathing. Fog would be another representation of the ethereal world. And so that's what I'm trying to do with Lorraine, to create a mutable space that would also become a fantasy space, depending on if, for instance, we're looking at storytelling or narrative logic structures. Suddenly two people are walking down the street, they're in a park, and suddenly rain comes while they're walking. And that rain would be akin to if there was fog coming while they were going for a walk. And for me, as a composer, I would write compositions that would reflect the elements of the logic. And that's what I have tried to do with the ground floor. Use the ground floor to extract from actual manifested reality and to take those logics and to run it through the number 12 in different forms. And now I'll be able to run it through a new system that at this point, I'm not sure if the ethereal plane will be 12 degrees. It could be 7 degrees. I need more research to better understand how to think of ethereal manifestations. There are many areas here that I can sense, but I need another 10 years, whatever the Creator gives me. and I will try to better understand the possibilities of whatever degree I'm trying to work on. And so the Lorraine musics at this point consist of, let me see, 8 compositions, nine compositions. There are 9 compositions of the Lorraine music. My plan is to have about, say, from 15 to 20 compositions, and then I will close up the Lorraine musics and go into the next, the second degree of the ethereal processes. And so that has been then what I've been trying to work on, what I've been trying to build. Every composition fits into one of the containers that I have tried to speak about. Thunder music is different from that. The 12 vocalists that are singing boop, 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 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 1, that's ghost trance musics. And the ghost trance musics are used in the same way that a laser is used, in the sense of you're on the train track. Suddenly the signal turns yellow. Pop, 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 Z, 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 Q, 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 A, Q, A, Q, A, Q, A, Z, Q, A, Z. This kind, that's for code. I love it. And the code activates something. So you're singing G, R, Z, R, G, R, Z, R, we, R, Z, R. Suddenly orange comes. Z, B, Z, R, D. Suddenly orange turns green. You're moving through different states, and the code, the syntax makes something happen. So if you're in if you're going around a racetrack, and then the guy comes out with a flag, you just slow down. So you slow down the race because you're in this motor race. And then he comes back and you say, okay, this accident has been cleared. We give you the blue flag, and then they go again. If he would come out with an orange flag, in my system, we would say, take the orange road. Don't just do the circle. Circle house is great, but now take another path that goes like that. So the code and the syntax activates something that's going to change. The change could be syntax. The change can be the route, the road you're going on. The change could be the color of your clothes. Imagine if it would be possible to have a syntax and suddenly our clothes just change and we're wearing tuxedos. We're going to the party. Boom, another syntax change. Oh, we have a cowboy hat. And I want my guns, of course, as we go into the bar room. And so that's what that is. The ghost trance music's syntax to activate systems. Among the things that I think about and hope for would be scalar components. For instance, when I think of Disneyland, for instance, I would like for my system to also have a park, a tricentric park. The tricentric park would have, for instance, Disneyland, we have Frontierland, the space world. We have different kinds of experiences for the family. I would like to have a tricentric park where the family can come to the park and ride on the different kinds of rides. They can go to, this house is a house for being frightened by the ghosts. The ghosts will come in and the children will be able to experience that. There will be 3-dimensional spaces. And so that would be one area that I would like to expand into. Also, two, time is running out for me. I want to complete the opera system. The opera system is called Trillium, and the Trillium Opera Complex, if it's able to be completed, will be 36 autonomous acts that can be put together in the same way as the ground floor model. That is to say, Trillium A could be connected to Trillium L. Trillium L and A can be connected to Trillium D. I am hoping to document the operas. This is my hope for the future, because as an African-American composer, I don't kid myself. It's very difficult to get a performance of an opera, and it's even more difficult if you're an African-American and if you are a person who doesn't even hang with the African-American community. My life has been a life in the in-between space, not the black world, not the white world, not the liberals, not the conservatives. I'm in the in-between space. And it's in the in-between space that I would like to be able to put things together. And so going back to your question, what are my thoughts now? What are my hopes? My hopes are to get some of the larger projects documented. Projects like the sonic genome. We have maybe 3 or 4 sonic genomes that we are trying to put on the internet. Sonic genome is like a wide space, and you have systems and rows of people moving through it. The people who are moving through it are like ghost trance music, boop, 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 with different formations in it. The compositions are also planted in the same space. I'd like to do more sonic genomes, not too many more, but every, say, 4 or 5 years I'd like to do that. It's the operas that I would like to do. If I had money, and if I had influence, I would like to be able to work with NASA and put components of my systems on the telescopes that are being sent out into space. My system is designed for that kind of project, where right now we have satellites going all over the planet. And because of the satellites, we're able to connect, and people can see exactly what's happening in real time on the other side of the planet. I would like to have that option in my system, because of course I've modeled my system on composite manifestation. And I'm trying with my system to, to make a replica of everything that exists, and to be able to build models based on something that is in the animate world, where the animate world or manifestation itself shows me something of what the Creator has declared for our species. And so I would like, as I get older, to be able to create some of the larger projects, because time is running out. And just because I am poor, it does not mean I don't have great dreams. Actually, I'm poor, but actually I'm super rich, if you look at it another way. I wake up every day, I'm grateful to be alive. And I have work to do for the rest of my life. I'm not angry. I'm not angry at anything. Would I like to have $427 billion? Yes, as long as I don't have to change. I'm interested in my work. I'm grateful for the people I've been able to meet in my life. And I want to do the best that I can do. This is what I always told my students: be the best that you could be. And after that, you won't turn around and say, oh, I'm mad at my life, I'm mad at... No, do the best you can do. Everybody has something that is special. And the more you learn about yourself, the more you find, oh, I want to be this part of myself. And I want to evolve myself. And I want to evolve my work. And so when I think of the future, and when I hope for different things to come to me before I leave the planet, I think of those kind of things. Now I go for white wine. It doesn't get any better than some nice white wine.